If one person measures another, it rarely improves performance. Now, these 5 conditions really must be met to measure personal performance so it can and will improve. When we measure individual employee performance, we see time and again that it rarely improves performance beyond the short term, if at all. And it can too often turn performance in the wrong direction. Now, I've called this the downward spiral of measuring people's performance. Self-quantification isn't all bad, though. It can be quite empowering and useful in pursuing personal goals that really matter to us and reaching them with greater ease and speed. Now, the problem with measuring personal performance has more to do with ownership. And ownership of personal goals, enough ownership to strive for those goals, is only possible when 5 conditions are met in the way we go about setting personal performance measures. The first condition to measure personal performance is that the goals have to be your goals, not goals someone has set for you. Imagine how you'd feel if someone else told you your goal had to be to lose 10 kilos, or your goal was to become more trustworthy or dependable at work, or that your goal was to double your productivity. It's really hard for any of us to own a goal, to really take it seriously and to be accountable for reaching it when it's not a goal that we've chosen that matters to us. There's not much dignity in submitting to the goals that other people want of us, especially when those goals are not important to us. And without dignity, summoning up that personal power to pursue the goal, let alone achieve it, is next to impossible. The best personal performance measures are based on goals that we set for ourselves, even if others have a stake in them too. The second condition to measure personal performance is that the measures have to be your measures, not measures developed by someone else on your behalf. Whether you've truly agreed to a goal someone else has set for you or you've managed to set your own goal, performance can still be derailed by the measures that are chosen for that goal. Imagine if you have a goal to lose weight, but someone insists you use a skin fold caliper to measure it, and that really irks you. You'd rather use the scales and a tape measure for your waistline. Or if you have a goal to double your productivity, but it's really tricky to measure and you really don't want to use your manager's insistent measure that it should be the percentage of your work time that you spend at your desk. If we don't trust that a measure is telling us the truth about our goal, we won't be able to bring ourselves to use it. To trust a measure, we need to understand its inner workings and be convinced that it is the best evidence of our goal. The best way for that to happen is if we design and build the measures from scratch. The third condition to measure personal performance is that the monitoring of the measure has to be done by you, not by others to judge you. If there is one place in the personal performance measurement process that poses, I think, the greatest risk of driving performance in the wrong direction, it's here. It's when someone else judges us and even rewards or punishes us based on measures of our performance. Judgment is felt as a personal threat and a loss of dignity, and it too easily tempts us into performance sabotaging behaviours, to do desperate things to make a short-term gain. Imagine if you needed to lose weight quickly to not be judged as a failure, so you eat way too little and you end up making yourself sick. Or to get your colleagues to score you higher on trustworthiness and dependability, you simply cut back on the promises that you make to them and you avoid the more challenging but probably the more important ones. Or to increase your productivity, maybe you cut corners or you let the quality of your workmanship slip. Or the opposite, you work way too hard and too long. When a measure is used as judgment about us, it can trigger the game to hit the numbers instead of improve the results. To avoid chasing numbers in desperation, we need to own the search for the root causes that are holding our performance back. The fourth condition to measure personal performance is that interpretation of our measures needs to be our interpretation and not conclusions that others might draw. The common practices of interpreting performance measures are a bit dubious at best and completely wrong at worst. Believe it or not, most people don't know how to interpret statistical information, like performance measures. Now, those people who have a vested interest in any of our performance goals are more likely than not to draw the wrong conclusions from our measures. They might look at how your weight is higher today than yesterday and accuse you of eating too much over the last 24 hours. But you know that weight will naturally vary every day, even for skinny people. Or your manager might rank you beneath most of your colleagues based on a 360-degree feedback score, but you know that your scores have steadily increased all year, while some of your higher-ranking colleagues' scores are staying static or maybe even dropping a bit. Now, if we react to other people's interpretation of measures of our goals, we're really just the blind following the blind. Instead, it's really up to us to show those people the real story and the real signals of change. The fifth condition to measure personal performance is that the improvement actions are your actions. They're not actions someone else mandates. Now, well-meaning friends and supportive managers can be quick to give us the fixes to our performance limitations. Only when we're at our wits' end or feel completely stuck do we ever feel truly open to the solutions that others are willingly showering upon us. Now, unless we're at the end of our rope, it's hard to follow the advice of others. It can seem like they don't understand or appreciate the unique constraints on our personal performance. Like if a skinny friend tells you just to eat less fat and exercise more. But you've noticed over the years when you eat more carbs, no matter how much exercise you do, the weight just creeps up. Or to help you be more productive, your manager wants to send you on a time management course. But you're pretty sure, being an introvert, that it's really the consistent noise and movement around the office that's shattering your focus a million times a day. And nothing feels more futile than spending our energy and time doing something that we really don't believe will work. Before defaulting to the mandates of those who feel they know better, we can design a few little experiments to test which solutions create the most improvement for us. There's no real lasting improvement in performance without complete ownership. So these 5 conditions to measure personal performance, if you hadn't noticed, are fundamentally about getting full ownership. Now, to measure our personal performance in a meaningful way that works, we need to own the goals, the measures, the monitoring, the interpretation, and the improvement actions. Now, is any of this missing from the personal performance measures that you have?